You don't remember the last thing you said to your father before you signed the papers. You've tried. You've replayed that morning 100 times in the dark, in bunks, in the back of armored vehicles, moving through dust you couldn't name. You were 19. He shook your hand instead of hugging you, and you told yourself that meant he was proud. You've been telling yourself that ever since. That was 8 years ago. A lot has happened since the handshake. Day 1 smells like diesel fuel and wet concrete. Fort Benning, Georgia. 6 in the morning. 41 degrees, and nobody warned you about the cold because nobody thought you'd notice the cold. You're standing in a line with 52 other recruits, and the drill sergeant, a man named Kowalski with a jaw like a cinder block, hasn't looked at you once. Not because you're invisible. Because you're not worth looking at yet. You are private, the lowest designation in a system with 12 rungs above you. You carry your rifle like it's borrowed because it is. Everything here is borrowed. The uniform, the bed, the schedule, the identity. None of it belongs to you yet. You are a placeholder until you prove otherwise, and proving otherwise takes longer than anyone tells you up front. Your bunk is the third from the left in a row of 20. The one above yours belongs to a kid from Shreveport named Marcus Webb, who snores like a broken engine and wakes up at 4:55 every morning before the alarm sounds. You learn to wake up at 4:54. Small adaptations. That's what the first weeks are. You're not learning to fight. You're learning to exist inside a machine that was running long before you arrived and will keep running long after you're gone. Training runs 6 days a week, 4 miles before sunrise, in boots that are half a size too big and destroying your left heel. Breakfast at 0600, eggs that taste like cardboard, coffee that's too hot and too weak at the same time. You eat in 4 minutes because everything here is done in 4 minutes. Sitting still is a luxury reserved for people with rank. You don't have rank. You have a number, a bunk, and a blister that won't heal. The hierarchy is never explained. It's demonstrated. You watch who speaks first in a room. You watch who doesn't have to explain themselves. You watch who gets the corner locker and who gets the one next to the bathroom. Power in this place is spatial. It lives in proximity and distance. The further you are from the door, the less you matter. You are very far from the door. By week 6, you've stopped flinching at live fire. You don't notice it leaving. One afternoon on the range, the recruit beside you, a kid named Torres who still calls his mom every Sunday, jumps at a shot. You realize you didn't. You file that away. You don't talk about it. There are a lot of things here that you file away and don't talk about. The list grows longer every week without you noticing. You graduate basic training on a Tuesday. There's no ceremony worth remembering. A handshake from Kowalski, who still doesn't look at you the way you wanted him to. A new patch. A reassignment order printed on paper that's already crumpled, like it passed through several hands before it reached yours. Chuck, you're now private first class. The promotion comes with no raise worth mentioning and one new responsibility. You are expected to set an example for the recruits behind you. You have been here 8 weeks. You are the example. Your first deployment is Kandahar Province, Afghanistan. The temperature hits 114 degrees by 9 in the morning. The heat is not dramatic, it's administrative. It presses down on everything, making every task take slightly longer than it should. You carry 43 pounds of gear across terrain that doesn't care about your training. The ground here is indifferent in a way Fort Benning never was. You learn quickly that indifference is the dominant weather condition in a war zone. Your fire team leader is a corporal named Darius Holt, 2 tours already. He speaks in a register so flat it sounds like he's reading from a manual. He probably is. The manual is just internal now. You watch him and you understand for the first time what competence actually looks like. Not excitement. Not the thing you imagined when you signed the papers. Competence looks like a man who has already decided what he'll do in every situation before the situation arrives. You start practicing that, deciding in advance, removing the pause. The missions are procedural. Clear a building, establish a perimeter, hold a position for 72 hours. The language of war is bureaucratic. You are not storming anything. You are executing a tasked objective within a defined operational window. That distinction matters to the people writing the reports. On the ground, it feels the same either way. There is one night, 41 days into the deployment, that you don't write home about. A compound outside Shari district. A decision made in 4 seconds that the debrief form reduces to 2 lines. Holt signs the report. You watch him sign it without hesitating. You file that away too. The folder is getting heavy. You make corporal after 14 months. Holt shakes your hand. That's it. You now lead your own fire team. 3 soldiers who look at you the way you used to look at Holt. You understand now why he spoke so flatly. It's not coldness. It's load management. You cannot carry their fear and your own. So you set yours down somewhere quiet, and you don't go back for it. The second deployment is Mosul, Iraq. Different landscape, different you. You move differently now. Decisions come faster. The half-second hesitations that used to keep you up at night are gone. This is called experience. It is also called something else, something the debrief forms don't have a checkbox for. You start noticing the gap between what the mission briefings say and what the missions actually are. The briefings are optimistic documents. The missions are not. You are promoted to sergeant after 2 years and 7 months. The rank comes with a pay increase of $283 a month. It also comes with paperwork. More paperwork than you expected. You're now responsible for the administrative records of 8 soldiers. Tuesday afternoons are for conduct reports and equipment maintenance forms. This is also war. The part that happens under fluorescent lights at a folding table with a pen that keeps running out of ink. Back home on leave, you sit at your mother's kitchen table and she asks how you're doing, and you say fine. It's not a lie. It's a translation failure. The language you've been living in for 3 years doesn't have a civilian equivalent. You watch her pour coffee, and you notice you've already identified both exits in the room. You don't mention that. You eat the food she made, and you smile at the right moments, and you leave after 5 days, because 5 days is about as long as you can hold the translation together before the seams show. The woman you were seeing before your first deployment, her name was Claire, ends things in a phone call that lasts 6 minutes. Not a fight, just a series of sentences that get quieter toward the end until the last one is barely a sentence at all. You don't blame her. You don't blame yourself. You file it under operational loss and move forward. Forward is the only direction with any traction here. By your 3rd deployment, you are staff sergeant. 11 soldiers under your direct command. You are 25 years old. You write reports in a language that is accurate but not complete. Every soldier learns this. It is not taught. It is absorbed, the way the heat was absorbed, the way the startle reflex was absorbed. Quietly, permanently, you learn which corners can be cut and which cannot. You learn that the gap between policy and practice is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. Everyone above you knows this. Nobody says it directly. You stop expecting them to. There is a moment somewhere in your 4th year when you realize you haven't thought about who you were before this in a very long time. Sean, the 19-year-old who stood in that line at Fort Benning, boots too big, father's handshake still on his palm, that person is not gone exactly. He's just very far away, like a city you drove through once and never returned to. You remember the shape of it, but not the streets. You're not sure anymore whether that's a loss or just an adjustment. You make Sergeant First Class. The promotion board reviews your file for 9 minutes. You are not in the room. The decision is made by people who know you only as a collection of performance metrics and deployment records. The promotion is approved. You receive a letter. You are now responsible for a platoon, 31 soldiers, their training, their readiness, their paperwork, their fear. You manage all of it with the same flat register Holt used to use. You understand now that it was never coldness. It was just the math of survival applied consistently over time. The moment doesn't arrive like an explosion. It arrives on a Wednesday morning in a forward operating base outside Kunduz. You're reviewing a mission brief for an operation that looks, on paper, exactly like 37 others you've executed. And somewhere between reading the objective and reaching for the pen, You understand something you cannot ununderstand. The mission will happen whether you sign or not. The next person in line will sign. The system does not require your belief. It only requires your signature. You sign. You always sign, but now you know exactly why. And knowing why is different from not knowing. That difference is the weight you will carry out of here and into every room you enter for the rest of your life. You complete your service contract at 8 years. The exit process takes 3 weeks and involves more paperwork than your first deployment. You receive a folder of documents, a handshake from a lieutenant colonel you've never met, and a date on which you will no longer be a soldier. The date arrives on a Thursday. You walk out of the building. The sun is the same sun. The parking lot is a regular parking lot. You're wearing civilian clothes for the first time in years, and they feel like a costume you haven't earned yet. You find work in private security. The pay is better. The stakes are lower. Some things come back slowly. Some things don't come back at all. You sleep lighter than you used to. You still wake up at 4:54. You still sit facing the door in every restaurant. You still scan rooms before you enter them. You still think about the compound outside Jari sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and there's nothing left to file away. These are not problems exactly. They are just the shape your life has taken, the mold the years pressed you into. You wear it the way you wore the uniform, because it's what fits now. Your father calls on your birthday. The conversation lasts 11 minutes. He asks how you're doing. You say fine. He says he's proud of you. You've been waiting 8 years to hear that. It lands differently than you thought it would. Quieter, like something arriving too late to change anything. You hang up and sit with that for a long while. Somewhere right now, a 19-year-old is standing in a line at Fort Benning. Boots slightly too big, a handshake still fresh on his palm. The drill sergeant hasn't looked at him once. The diesel smell is the same. The concrete is the same. The bunk assignments follow the same logic they always have. The system is running. It was running before you arrived. It is running now that you're gone. It will keep running when that recruit becomes the soldier signing the form, and then the veteran sitting in a quiet house at 4:54 in the morning, carrying the particular weight of a life lived inside a machine that never needed him to understand it, only to serve it. The machine doesn't mourn what it uses. It just finds the next person willing to stand in line. And there is always a next person. There always has been. There always will be.